I did it. I went out and did it. I bought one of these Mac Studios. I have the box right here. I did it in person. I actually went to the Apple store and bought it. And it wasn't like my initial intent when the event happened. I was like, I don't know, do I need one of these? But then everything changed in the studio since then. Like everything. I don't know if you can tell or not. Where I sit is right over there now. The way we're ingesting content kind of changed. So I took my old computer, which was hooked up to that rig, and it kind of became the recording interface for these videos, and then it freed up a spot to figure out which computer to stick over there. And I was like, well, the studio's kind of perfect actually. A lot of editing and stuff can still happen on the computer that moved, but I wanted something over there that was like a permanent installation, wasn't a laptop connected to monitors, which it could be, and then something that had more opportunity to interface as compared to a laptop where you've got a bunch of adapters and such. So like on this one right here, just looking at the back, and the front for that matter, gives you a sense of calm, knowing that you have 4 Thunderbolt ports. You have, this was actually a big one for me. You have an Ethernet connection, and this is a 10 gigabit. You have a power connector, 2 USB-A, an HDMI full-size headphone jack on the front of the device. And I'm just gonna verify this. I believe they're just USB Type-C connectors on the front, but who cares? That's still good. That's still good on the front. 2 USB-C ports up to 10 gigabits per second on the front. And of course you get an SD card slot. Where's the front? Look at this. So really that's the most exciting element to me. I know it seems strange because you're like, wait a minute, Lou, what about like M1 Max and Ultra and what spec did you decide on and all of that? Well, this might surprise you because in the past I've spent an absolute ungodly boatload of cash new Apple computers, including the Mac Pro that's sitting behind the camera. I didn't do that this time. I got the base model. I'll tell you why, because the way this computer is getting used over there, this is more than enough power, what I'm gonna be using it for. I want something that's snappy, has fast storage. And what's been happening with these M1 chips in general, I've been using a MacBook Pro with the Max chip in it, with just the Pro chip in it, and it's still plenty fast. I've been using Mac Minis with just a regular M1. Even Mo right now is sitting back there and he's on the new M1 MacBook Air and he's loving life and he can use Final Cut Pro. So it's just like what they've been doing with processors has been such an advancement where even on these lower price points, you're able to get a tremendous performance improvement because of what Apple has been doing with their very own silicon. So anyways, let's go ahead and just do a quick little spec comparison for the one that I ended up purchasing. It may or may not be the sweet spot for you. It really depends. So you can see you can get it configured with the Max or the Ultra. The Ultra is very cool. You have the 2 chips stitched together. If I was using this system to chop and export videos on the regular, like every day or something, then maybe I could be motivated to spend a little bit more here. But I just honestly, it would be a waste for this particular computer, which is just spending a bunch of time in Photoshop and on the web, reading news, things like this, and just being constantly connected. And the reason I'm scrolling through this website right now is because look how they've just configured this scroll. Like how cool is this? Look at the way Apple does it. Up to 9 streams of 8K ProRes video playback. You see what I'm saying? 57 billion transistors, up to 11 trillion operations per second, support for up to 5 displays. Oh, that was another big thing. So you might be saying, well, if all you're doing is a little bit of work here and there and using this for browsing the web and such, why not a Mac Mini? And I do like the M1 Mac Mini a lot. But I also happen to have 2 6K displays there and you simply can't drive them with a Mac Mini. So this is sort of the bare minimum in order to drive the displays that I want to drive, because I'm monitoring all the happenings in the world, because I'm constantly building the Lou Later show, which by the way, we've been very consistent with recently, doing it live somewhere around noon, which ends up being 3 p.m. It doesn't matter, Mo's on the show, so go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Up to 8 terabytes of storage at 7.4 gigabytes per second read speeds. This little unit, this little box in front of me kind of has everything I need. And oh, and then there's one other thing I need to mention here. We may have a new Mac Pro coming out very shortly. That's the rumors with the upcoming event at WWDC. The sweet spot for many is going to be spending a little bit more money and just getting this 20-core Ultra model. But it's, you know, it's twice the price. You got to know that you're going to put it to good use on a regular basis in order to justify it. Plus, these things are so back ordered, like 7 to 9 weeks on this model, and I just kind of needed this thing right now. So that's another incentive for picking up the stock model with the Max chip in it. That one, you can actually find it in stores, in your local Apple store if you look around. So just Keep that in mind. All right, let's go ahead. I was told by the employee at Apple that this is going to be a very pleasant unboxing experience. That's one piece of content that I've refused to watch is anybody else's unboxing video, because Apple always does interesting things with the unboxing experience. They got the fabric handle on the top, extremely robust. This is one of those boxes that you feel terrible about throwing out. There was a time in my life where boxes would hang around for a really long time until I realized that was going to be a problem running a channel named Unbox Therapy. Woo! Yes, very smooth so far. So there we have the studio. Here we have some paperwork. I was a little disappointed that there's no keyboard included. There's no extras coming with these things these days, but that's a desktop computer. I guess you could say the same thing for the Mini, but if you get the iMac, then you get the keyboard. So I'm curious how they draw that distinction. But I guess since this is modular and you have no display with it, they're like, you're buying everything extra. And the keyboard that Apple wants to sell you with this, with the Touch ID built in, is not cheap. In Canadian funds, it's like 180 bucks. I think it might be 140 USD. You have Apple stickers. They are black. Oh, you know what? This is pretty cool. Look at the way this thing is gonna fold down. That's worth $2,000 on its own right there. That's $2,000. I paid $2,000 for that. Oh, it doesn't go all the way. Then you can just reach in. Okay, cool. So that is, kind of feels like a cake or something. The exact size of a average birthday cake. One of the best things about these systems is they're like dead quiet. I mentioned that earlier. It's one of the reasons why the computer here for browsing, for capturing, happens to be a Mac Mini, because these things are so silent. Put tremendous care into making sure that these things aren't humming along and getting picked up in your audio feed. The only other thing in the package is a power cable. It's that new style that Apple's doing. Yeah, it was a pretty cool unboxing experience. I'll give them that. You have this braided style power cable, and you don't have any external power brick or anything like that. Everything is built in. That's $2,000 for you, okay? Ooh. It smells fantastic. Depending on what you're into, it might even smell delicious. I do not recommend delving into the deliciousness. It's made of aluminum, all right? So this is your back of the unit. Many different ports for many different things. That's the most exciting part. I missed the fact that there is a hardware power button. You also have this really big grill. This all has to do with your cooling, as was mentioned in their original keynote. And you can see you have more airflow down here at the bottom. And then we move to the front of the device where you see that lovely SD card slot, 2 USB Type-C ports. So if you have this in a typical sort of desk setting where it was sitting over here and your monitor was over here, you don't have to reach around to the back like you would do on an iMac, for example. The ports that you really need to reach quickly are readily accessible. It's a little bit tall. Some of the images that I've seen on their website where they've got the studio display next to it, you gotta believe that they have good reason for making it as tall as it is. But it feels like it sort of creeps up to the display maybe a little too high. It's like right on that bottom edge of the display. Yeah, there you go. Kind of a bit chunky next to the display, but that's where most people are going to install it, and so be it. Whatever, it's a computer. I mean, is it a little bit boring, the design? Yeah, but it's a little tiny box. But if it's a quiet box and it does what you want it to do, and it's smooth to set up, and most of your software is already in there, and if the software that you like to use, like in my case, happens to be Final Cut Pro, which is exclusive to Apple computers, then this is going to be functional in a studio setting for studio types. Now I have an official studio. All this is real now because I have a Mac studio in my studio. So I feel like I have a real studio. I was worried previously that maybe this wasn't a real studio. It was a fake studio. I promise you it's not a green screen. You can watch the previous video where I walked all the way from back there to prove to you that it was not a green screen. So we plug this in. I'm not gonna run any benchmarks or anything like that. There's plenty of incredible content doing those things. I know this thing in many cases will actually defeat, even though it's the base model, will defeat my old Mac Pro, even though those are two totally different price brackets, which you had to pay for that thing, which kind of goes to show you it's probably never the best investment to get like the full spec model. Maybe it makes you feel comfortable. Maybe you have the money. Maybe you're balling out of control. But if you pick the pre-configs from Apple, not only are you probably going to get a better bang for your buck and be more prepared when the next version comes out, what's going to happen is these models are going to be the easiest to sell as well because they're sort of ubiquitous. People will know them well. They'll be like, oh yeah, that's the model that was sold for $4,000, as opposed to when you get into these custom configs. Say I go to this $4,000 model and I start getting wild and I click this one and I click this one and I click here and I just start clicking like crazy because I don't care, because I'm balling out of control, as I just mentioned, and I'm willing to wait 10 to 12 weeks. I get up to $8,000. Like, the market for this computer a year from now, if I want to change to the next version when Apple makes all types of leaps and progress and so forth, I'm not going to be able to recover most of that because that market's going to shrink. Whereas the base model is still going to be pretty useful and will likely, the residual will still be there. There will be some residual left over. So that's just a little tidbit, a little tip from a person who has purchased way too much technology over the last decade or so, and even before that. All right, so I'm gonna go put this is gonna go on this really little table over there where there's a laptop currently plugged in. I'm gonna go walk over there. This is gonna go right, it's gonna go like right around there. It's gonna go like right around there. So you'll be able to follow up on it if you ever wanna check up on it like it's a little pet and you just watched the birth of it. You can look over there and be reminded that it's actually doing stuff. And the other thing to mention, the other reason that it's kind of cool is because that chair that I'm sitting at back there with those displays, it moves around a little bit. Does some funky things. And if you have a really big tower computer connected to it, the position that it has to be in with the length of available Thunderbolt 4 cables, I know this is getting very complex, means that that vertical monitor on the side is often very tight when you're leaning it back if you have a tower placed in that location, which is pretty much the only location you can place it. When you have a tiny little form factor computer like this one, it's never getting in the way, gives the chair all kinds of room to maneuver and so forth. So these are, I realize this is a lot of backstory here, but I want you to be in the loop and I want to provide the insight as to why I did this unpredictable thing and why I bought a Mac Studio base model for $2,000. Let me know which of these models you think is the sweet spot and who this is the perfect device for. It's definitely not everyone. To be honest, even myself sitting in the store there, I was realizing that for most people to just go with one of these new MacBook Pros is probably a better idea. Even if you want the M1 Max, for example, I click buy over here and let's say the 16-inch. Look at this, M1 Max. $3,500, but then you got a whole laptop there. And these Pro models are amazing too. Like, I mean, you're missing a couple of the things that I like about the Studio, but you can pack this up and take it with you. I have other laptops, so that's not such a big deal to me, but if you can only have one or the other, I think for a lot of people, the laptop might actually be the better move. Although, as you can tell, you'll be spending a little bit more money for that benefit. It has a very nice display. Anyway, there you have it. That is my unboxing of my latest computer, my latest Apple computer, the new Mac Studio base model. Thank you for joining, for being here, for taking part. Today's episode has been sponsored by NordVPN. This is a VPN that I've been using for a very long period of time in order to unlock content that might be regional. It might be regionally locked and I want to watch it anyways. And then this helps me do that. But it also gives you secure internet. That's the biggest benefit. You stay safe online because you're connecting through this VPN. Now, in the past, having a VPN might have meant that you would suffer some kind of decreased performance, but I was just on their website over here looking around. Look at this, as seen on Unbox Therapy, a limited time offer. Grab the deal. It's a great deal, and look at the difference. Connection speed chart, 6730 plus megabits per second. Wow. Live chat, customer support. Gone are the days of the non-premium VPN. It's time to step your VPN game up. They say it's the fastest on the planet, 5,400 plus ultra-fast VPN servers around the globe. No bandwidth limits, experience top speed online security with NordVPN. And I can attest to the fact that no matter what you want to stream, you have enough speed that you can watch it in full resolution and not even have to care that you're connected through a VPN. You obviously have servers all over the world that you can choose from no matter which region you want to unlock. You can also link up multiple devices, up to 6 separate devices. You can secure them all in any combination. You can also install the VPN straight onto your router if you want to have other devices that connect to your network using the VPN. So you can get this on all your devices. Check out the highlights: Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, iOS, Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Android TV, and even more. Also want to mention, you now have a password manager called NordPass. You can securely store, organize, and access your passwords anywhere, generate complex passwords, sync across devices, store notes and credit cards, so it's all in one place, and you don't have to keep using the same password everywhere, which is obviously a security no-no. And then you've also got Nord Locker, which is file encryption with cloud storage, 10 gigabytes of private cloud storage, secure files via drag and drop, and you can back up your data automatically. So you can have all of your security products under one roof courtesy of Nord, and it's risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. NordVPN.com/unboxtherapy, or click the link down in the description to get started.